In this video, I'm going to show you how to stop losing money running paid ads for your business. And just to give you some reference that you know what I'm talking about, this is a snapshot of what we're spending. This is basically like 1.2 million a month on Meta, plus like 400 or 500K on Google. So now to the video. How to stop losing money with paid ads. I'm going to show you the old way, which most likely you're stuck with. And I'm going to show you the new way on how you can fix this easily and ASAP. Okay, old way is basically, and it's so funny, like this week I had a conversation with a brand founder, and she was like, yeah, we tried so many agencies and we worked with so many agencies. And I'm not an agency, by the way. I'm the opposite of that. I'll actually show you that, by the end of the video. But what she said is like, we were just like, we feel like we're throwing spaghetti at the wall, okay, and seeing what sticks. And this is what most of the brand founders do. They just like throw spaghetti at the wall, or their agencies, they just try out a bunch of stuff, right? Because why not? Right? The next thing she mentioned is like, yeah, okay, UGC. Everybody, like, we just need to do more UGC. That's what these people tell you, right? These UGC agencies and stuff. Of course, that's what they do, right? That's how they make their money. So they will tell you, you need more of that. So what do people do? They go out and do a bunch of UGC creatives. They pay like, I don't know, anywhere from 150 to, I've heard crazy stuff like 400, even $500 per video. Okay, so you basically pay this for every single video that you're testing, and then you have one shot, or maybe like 2-3 hooks for it to work. If it doesn't work, you just burnt this amount, plus you burnt the ad budget, and afterwards you have no idea why it worked or why it didn't work. Was it the creative format? Was it the creator? Was it what I said in the creative? Was it the hook, right? Was it the angle, the messaging? So you basically start at zero every single month, okay? And then this is obviously what happens, right? That you're just burning a big pile of cash by, like paying all these people, paying your agency then as well, paying the ad spend, obviously. Like you're paying. But finally, this is your face, right? Pretty much exactly what it looks like. It is sad. It's very sad. And then you end up like with your store where you have a great product. You have like, I don't know, other channels where the product is selling, like in store and stuff like that. And then you look at this and you're like, what the hell is going on? Like I paid like, with all these expenses, I paid like 15 grand or maybe even 20 grand in a month, and I'm making 10K. Like, how is this sustainable? How do all these other people do it? And then people start to say, well, Meta doesn't work for me, blah, 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 I want to save you from this, okay? I want to save you from this. This is why I'm making this video. There is a way to make it work, and it's not crazy complicated, but you have to stick to it, okay? And I walk you through it step by step. This is exactly what I do with you saw the portfolio in the beginning, all the brands that I mentor, also my own brands. And, this is for e-commerce brands, but you can apply to any business that is running ads. So the very first thing is take off your producer hat. There's a big disconnect between being a producer and being a consumer, okay? And I tell you why, because as a producer, like, let's put on the producer hat. As a producer, I know the product inside out. I think I know the product inside out. And I'm only concerned about the product, about the features, right? Like, how can we improve the product? How can we improve the product, right? So how can I what's the next product that I do? Like, this is the stuff that we care about, right? What's the material that I use? But the consumer, on the other hand, is, I like to describe it like we're all consumers, finally. So how it feels like to be a consumer. And if you're honest to yourself, you only care about yourself, right? You literally, like, the only question that people have in their minds is, what's in it for me? That's the real question that people ask. They don't care what kind of, I don't know, hydrolyzed supplement, whatever you have, what kind of technology you used in your factory. They don't really care unless it, solves a specific pain point that they have. Okay, so that's why we do this exercise now. Is basically stop thinking like a producer. Just assume that you're someone from the outside that just comes in and tries to understand. That's your job, okay? So the first thing is that we want to understand the product, okay? We want to understand, what are we actually selling? What's the stuff that we want to sell, right? And how is it constructed? And then we go towards what's the benefit for people, actually, okay? So what I want you to do, this depends a little bit on which product you have, right? Let's say, I don't know, you could have like a supplement brand or skincare brand or, pet food brand, whatever the case may be. What I would do is really look at all the ingredients, okay? And really understand, what is every single ingredient doing, right? What is it and what's the benefit, okay? So this is one very important step, just to understand what are we actually selling. And I'm going to show you like an example. We're going to go a little bit freestyle here because I want you to understand that, okay? So one thing that I like to do is, for example, let's say you have some kind of, I don't know, supplement and you have cumin seeds, okay? Or cumin seed oil, okay? Then you want to understand this, by the way, Consensus, I'm not affiliated with them, but you should definitely check it out. Which benefits does, or health benefits, let's say, does cumin seed oil have? Question mark. Okay. And then what you're getting is basically an AI looking at real research papers. So not just like ChatGPT, but looking at real research papers and telling you what kind of effects does this ingredient have. And trust me, I literally do this for every single ingredient because I want to understand what's inside of that to make it fit the story that I want to tell afterwards, right? So here you have a couple of results. Oil is rich in bioactive compounds, blah, blah, blah. So key health benefits: antioxidant activity, anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial properties, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Now, obviously, if you know more specifically what you sell, you would say, does, I don't know, black cumin seed oil help against wrinkles? Okay. And then you would directly get an answer in terms of yes, no, right? How likely is it that it actually helps? Okay. What are the effects on that? Plus the real studies behind that. Okay. So this is just one way of doing it. But finally, what you want to do is you want to really understand the ingredients. You want to understand, obviously, the features, right? What are the features of the product? Do you have, I don't know, like a special weaving for your t-shirts, right? That then in the next step helps us to basically not sweat as much, right? And this is where you go towards the features, okay? So you try to study these two, and your goal is to come up with benefits. And this is exactly what people care about. People don't care about the rest. They don't care about the ingredients. They don't care about the features, right? To simplify it, they care about what does this ingredient do for me, right? When I have pain point XYZ. What does this feature mean for me when I use it, right? So is it a supplement that I put into water? Like, how fast does it dissolve? How fast does it mix, right? I don't care about like your mixing technology, whatever. I just care about what's in it for me. Okay. So once we have an idea of that, then we go to the next step, which is understand the market. Okay. And this is crucial, and we're going to spend some time here because the market is essentially where we want to sell our product. And what we want to do is we don't want to create demand. We're not in the business of creating demand. Okay. This is one thing that people talk about, right? They say, yeah, you have this product and you have to create demand for it. No. We don't create any demand, right? Instead of creating demand, we are tapping into existing demand. And what we do, what our main job is basically position our product as a solution to an existing pain point / demand / whatever you want to call it. Okay. And this is the key. Like, this is how brands scale super fast, is because they tap into an existing demand and position their product towards that demand, obviously understanding that the ingredients and features actually like hold this promise, right? So it works, right? But what we're doing with understanding the market is really checking like what's the conversation that is going on in the market, right? So this is so important. That's where most of the people actually fail, right? They actually fail here because they don't really understand the market. So what do we do to understand the market? You study the competitors, okay? So instead of just looking at their ads, and just ripping their ads, I would literally try to understand what's the angle that they use in their ads, right? What is the main pain point that they talk about in their ads, right? To understand what's the competitive landscape and what are the niches of each of these brands. Okay, the better I understand this, the better I can tell this is where the market is going. Okay, and then I can think about how do I position my product in this setting so that it stands out. I have a whole nother video on how to stand out, by the way. But study competitors, okay? So obviously you study competitors, but then you also study the target audience. And I'll show you a crazy trick now, okay? So for this, how do you understand what's the market thinking? What is your target audience thinking? Yes, I mean, you could obviously ask them. I would highly recommend that. Just call them up. If you have clients already in your store, whatever, call them up, try to understand who they are, right? Mingle with these people. If you have like local events in your city, go to where these people are, right? Just to talk to them, just to understand. But there's another way that you can do that. And this is, there you go. This is GigaBrain, okay? So GigaBrain is basically an AI that is that they laid over Reddit, okay? So you can basically crawl what's going on for any kind of topic, okay? So when I talk about, I don't know, what are experience, or for example, what works with against acne. Okay, so now this is scanning like thousands of comments on Reddit, right? And it's basically distilling this into a summary of what people think is working on acne, right? Then another thing to understand would be, what do people think is the root cause of acne? Okay, now I have to log in, obviously. Let me just quickly do that. I think it was this one. Okay, there you go. Okay. So essentially, what it does now is it tells me what do people think is the root cause or other causes of acne. Okay. It tells me hormonal factors. You can go into each of these Reddits and read even more. Diet and lifestyle, genetics, bacteria, environment, external factors, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So when you see this, like, this is genius. This is absolutely genius, because this way you can just compress the time to understand what people think. And obviously then you use this info in order to, wait a second, in order to map it with what your product is doing. Okay. So as I said, the next thing is really study the target audience and understand what are trends. Another thing that you can do, like I told you, GigaBrain. Okay. This is just one. You can go to Reddit by yourself. You can go to Quora. Okay. You really want to put in the research hat. You can go to YouTube. Okay. So if you, for example, for acne, like how to fight acne, you type that into YouTube and you get a bunch of results. You do the same on Instagram. You look at what are the reels that are the most popular, that have the most views, that have millions of views. You do the same on TikTok. You get the point, right? You just want to understand, like, what is the conversation in the market that I can tap into and position my product towards, okay? Very, very powerful, and basically nobody is doing it, right? So you have instantly a competitive advantage. Now, the next thing that you do is, from all of this research, you basically look at, okay, what are the angles, the potential angles, advertising angles, right? So this could be, for example, pain points that people have that your product can solve. And then you just list these, right? So you might end up with like 3 to 5 angles, right? And then you test them against each other. Right? You figure out which angle actually works the best, right? Which angle actually shows the most resonance for my product. And then you go with the one that works the best, or maybe it's 2, and you set the other ones to the side, right? And this is the way that you make sure that you're not just like, just guessing, like mixing angles, taking this, what is that here? Like 5 reasons why, blah, blah, blah. TikTok made me buy this. Those are just creative concepts, okay? This has nothing to do with the angle. So this is one thing, very, very simple, how to find angles and how to double down on angles. And yeah, exactly. That's the next step. Last step, essentially, validate the angles. And I always talk about this. I do this with very simple static ads. Okay, you don't need to spend any money on any video ads. Just do it with a couple of static ads. For each angle, you define like 5 to 10 messages. If you've done this here, like all of this is super easy. You can just literally take like some claims out of what people say on Reddit and just put them there, right? And yeah, that's it. You test them against each other. You will have data. You will see, okay, this angle works better than all the other ones. And that's it, okay? Boom, all of a sudden you're making money. You don't know where to put all of that money, and you're happy. Obviously, that's what we want, right? And that's the way to get to $1 million a month and even more, right? It's not so complicated. Now, this is exactly what I teach in my 1 million per month framework, where I basically show founders how they can implement this into their own business without using an agency, without being dependent on anybody external. So it's essentially just plugging this system into your business. Yeah, so you don't have to worry about this stuff, and you can own your acquisition and just scale more like faster, scale more efficiently, and with way more profits, and control everything. And as you can see, like, this is like the pyramid. The first thing is actually not only understand customer, it's also understand product, but it's just understand. That's the very first thing. And then we move up all the way to LTV, essentially. I have a couple of other videos on my account, on my channel here. So please check them out. I explain literally everything, exactly how to do it. If you say, man, this sounds amazing, I want that, I want this in my business, and I want it fast, right? Just click the first link in the description, apply for the mentorship, and I work with brands one-on-one, right? So there's no like courses, stuff like that. I don't believe in that. And see if you qualify, and then we see if we have a chat and I can help you. All right, see you in the next one. Hope you enjoyed this one. I did. Super important. And share it with everybody that you think should see that. Okay? Take care. Bye-bye.